So here we are, thrilled to be joined by Mark Recchi, TEEMU, SELANNE, Paul KARIYA, Danielle Goyette, Dave ANDREYCHUK. And what I thought we would do is just go through photos, some highlights, and reminisce a little about the journeys that you've been on. Dave, you first. You're the senior statesman here. Yeah. And I wanted to talk first about resilience. And as you know, it took 22 years for you to hoist that Stanley Cup. You had a quarter-century career, which is really, really impressive. What is it, your mom and dad working in the steel mills in Hamilton? What gave you that?
A little bit, yeah. I guess, you know, it's a blue-collar town, right? And a lot of it was, you know, go out and have fun, but work hard at it. And that's the attitude we had as a family. I didn't jump very high there. I was a little tired by that time. But it did, you know, it made it even sweeter that it took so long to get to that point. And really, it wasn't all about me. It was about the whole team. So,
Danielle, your mom and dad, you lost your mom 3 years before Nagano, and you ended up scoring a hat trick to win a national championship. Quebec beats Ontario, so that was right after mom dies, and then your dad succumbs to his Alzheimer's right on the eve of the Nagano Olympics, and you were fantastic. So here's a photo of you at the end. I don't know if you're thinking about your father or if you're thinking about, obviously you lost that gold medal game, but you scored in the gold medal game, our first ever.
That's true. You know, yes, this is what I'm thinking right now about my dad, because the last time I talked to my dad before I went to the Olympics, it was like, hey, don't be sad, I'm going to see you after, but you're going to be able to see me at the Olympics for the first time, and this never happened.
So he did see you win a lot of world championships on the bright side, and you won the 2 gold medals to honor him going forward. Paul, here's your dad, and don't have to tell you, you should have been in Nagano. That was one of the many concussions that really was a tough part of your career, but you were so tough. Is it Tetsuhiko, your dad?
Yes. No, he was my idol. You know, this photo was actually in our rec room, and he always he represented Canada playing rugby, and he told me that that was the biggest honor you can have as an athlete, to represent your country. So my first Olympics in '94 was the highlight of my hockey career, and put on that Canadian jersey was just a huge thrill.
I want to come back to that, and I want to come back to that idea of playing for your country, because obviously, TEEMU, you had the 6 Olympic Games, but here's the one for you, and it's just the fact your knee was starting, you're the Finnish Flash, right? And your knee was really starting to become a Bobby Orr-like problem. So to win the Masterton Trophy, to come back and win the Stanley Cup after those surgeries, how did you do it?
Well, obviously, it's when you realize that you're hurt and you can't enjoy the game that much anymore, and you lose the passion, and it's a tough. You know, I learned that year so much about myself, and then able to come back and free healthy again. I appreciate every day. I remember driving to practice and check myself in the mirror, and I'm smiling. I didn't even notice. So you know you go in the right place, and I was happy every day. And obviously, a little bit like Dave too, when you have to wait something for a long time, you appreciate that so much. So thankful that everything what has happened.
Yeah, you're spoiled, Mark. You didn't have to wait. And I don't know if you have a tale like that of just a moment in your career where you felt adversity and you're really proud that you rallied. But the thing I think about your 3 Stanley Cups, you were down 2 games in every situation. In '91 in the first round, down 3-1, Frank Pietrangelo. You were down with Carolina to Montreal the opening round, and you were obviously down to Vancouver in 2011. So that's your resilience.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously it goes to my teammates, and we were resilient as a group, and we believed in what we were doing, no matter if we were down 2-0 or 3-1. We believed that we could win the series and come back, and we had the right approach and took it, you know, game by game and period by period, and crawled back in and you know, put doubt in the other team's mind, and that was important.
Did you not tell your teammates with Boston that, look, we were in this hole in Carolina?
Yeah, I talked about it and, you know, just brought it up and said, let's just go up there and get that first one, because then we're going to turn the pressure back on them, because now they have to win game 4. So, you know, it made a big difference.
Dave, your Stanley Cup was an incredible rally in Game 6 in Calgary, and then, of course, the 7th game at home. So here's, we're going to move on to heroes and moments that were important. You've all won awards. I want to know which one's special. This is one for me, because I used to referee the Kilty Bees up on Mountain Arena, which is now that.
That was just an absolute surprise. You know, that's the rink that I started playing in as a 6-year-old. And then go back to bring the cup back into that building, and then finding out that the city ends up naming it, you know, and not only myself, but my family. It was really special. It was, you know, we drive by it every once in a while now just to look at it and think of, you know, that's where it all started.
So, Danielle, you're in the Hockey Hall of Fame, Canada Sports Hall of Fame, all kinds of halls of fame. I think this is the neatest thing, is it?
Yeah, you know what? This is such an honor, like, to be picked to represent your country. When you think about all the great athletes we have in Canada, and when you get that honor, it's not just for what you do on the ice, but it's what you do off the ice. And you know what? I will never forget that moment.
Flag bearer in Torino in 2006. Paul, this is cool because you're a surfer. We were saying to see you in a jacket these days is really, really unusual. But when you went to Maine to have your sweater retired, you've got a Hobie Baker there, you've got a national championship, you're a hero there. But this is where, you left Maine to play for Canada in the Olympic Games. That had to be not easy. And why is it the highlight of your career, the Olympics?
Well, like I said, my father had always stressed that representing your country was the biggest honor you can have, and I was very lucky because remember the Winter Olympics were in '92 and they should have been in '96, but they wanted to change them to get them into off years. So I was very fortunate that in '94 the Olympics were held, and I was an amateur. I was able to have a semester at university and then go play with the national team, and we came this close. Lost in a shootout, and it was the biggest thrill and also one of the biggest disappointments. And missing that shootout goal was difficult to take for a long time.
You already had scored in the shootout. And Corey Hirsch, we've got 3 people at Rogers Sportsnet now. Todd Warner, Todd Lushko. How great was Todd?
I saw Todd last. Oh, he was unbelievable.
He was unbelievable in Lillehammer. And so was Corey Hirsch.
Yeah.
But he told me you changed that team. The program was kind of fumbling along, and then you joined the team, and wow, did we feel like...
Well, I don't know about that. Tom Rennie did a fantastic job as coach. He's one of the best coaches I ever had. So important to our team, bringing us together, and we just got hot at the right time. We were probably ranked 8th or 9th going into the tournament. Came together as a team. Everything started to go, and it was just we were so close. But lucky enough to win one in 2002.
Yes, that's key. 2006, Torino, TEEMU, you obviously fall short to Swedes on that crazy broken stick face-off. So 2 sweater retirements. One is obvious, and this will happen for you, Paul, too, I'm hoping. But there's the number 8 in Anaheim. The one that I really think about, though, is no player in Finland will ever wear your number in international competition, TEEMU. That has to blow your mind a bit.
Yeah, it's a huge honor, obviously, and I played, I think, 26 years for Team Finland. And just a great memories. I always, when I was a little boy, I was watching Olympics or World Champions when Finnish athletes were playing, and I always was dreaming that I want to be one of those guys one day. And obviously playing 6 Olympics, I could never imagine, but obviously that's a big honor, and so many great moments and years there. I'm very thankful that I was able to play for so many years.
Mark, this is yours. Tell me if this is a big one for you.
Oh, yeah.
That's your hometown, right? So
yeah, it's my hometown, and it's actually on the street that my grandfather and my father was raised. My grandfather moved over from Italy, my nono, I shouldn't, and that was his house on that. It was just down the street from the arena, so it has a huge impact from my family, and it means the world to all of us that we have our name on that street.
Your dad, Mel, at Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada and Kamloops was so unbelievable to me, so thank you for that. Here's a picture from last night at the Air Canada Centre, and you guys, I want you to think about this. What would it be like to be a young hockey player and you get sat between Joe Mullen and Brian Trottier? Anybody know what that experience is like, to sit between those 2 guys?
I just told the story at the fanfare we had today, and I'd sit between them. I know Badger Bob did it on purpose, and it was the best thing that ever could have happened to me as a young pro. And like I said, I was late for practice all the time, walking, before in front of them because I was like, I got to get out there. And Badger Bob never said one word to me ever. And I learned a ton from those 2 guys. Different people, but both wonderful, and it was a big honor for me to play.
Going to go a little out of order here and go Paul Kariya next, Heather. But this shot really says Paul Kariya. You'll see, Paul, and see what you think about this moment. What are you thinking?
Well, this was one of the highlights of my hockey career. My biggest idol, Wayne Gretzky, and my second biggest idol, Brett Hull. I was lucky enough to start the All-Star game in 96, 95, 96 with those 2 guys. And I remember standing next to them for the national anthem and looking to my left and looking to my right. And how is this possible? Like, it was just such a dream, not beyond a dream come true to play a game with those 2 guys. Unbelievable.
All right, let's listen to this. I hope we can hear it on the floor. But
8, TEEMU SELANNE. From the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, number 9, KARIYA.
So Don Baisley, the agent, be pretty happy with those two guys coming out together. And there you stood on the blue line. You're a Winnipeg Jet at that time, Teemu. So you're not together with the Ducks or with Colorado. Kind of cool, though, that that's where it starts.
You know what? It was funny. We were standing in the blue line, and every player who came out, we said, "What a great player he is! What a clever!" You know, it was pretty funny. And at the end of the night, I said, "Paul, maybe one day we play together." And 2 weeks later, I'm in Anaheim. So obviously, what an honor to play with this guy. You know, the hockey was so easy with you, and great years.
Do we have time to show the? We're tight. I know we're really tight, but yeah, let's look at the. This is that game. So this is how good they are. Here's the rugby. Here's Tatsuhiko KARIYA. That's his middle name, Paul's, by the way. To Brett Hull, not too shabby. And then watch the goal he scores himself. I mean, honestly. And then Dominik Hasek has to eat this one from Teemu. This is the game winner in the game. And a couple of years later, Teemu wins the MVP in '98. Mark Recchi won the MVP of the All-Star. I love that when you're best on best, even though it's a pond hockey game. You all know how important it is in the company of the greats to play as good as you did there. Danielle, here's yours. I mean, and I picked Cassie, but I should have Vicky Sonohara as well. The old dogs.
Yeah, you know, like for me, like that picture means a lot. It was our first gold medal with the national team, and Cassie, we play many years together, and you know, was so honest to be. We were so honest to each other. We push each other, and that's why we had so many success. But at the same time, you know, yes, we were successful on the ice, but I think we became some of the best friends, like, of the ice.
And the best teachers. If ever there are two great teachers as a coach or a broadcaster, it's you two. And finally, Dave, I just chose this picture. I mean, there's a million great friends of yours, but that's young, right? Your 38-goal season under that guy.
Yeah. Learned a lot. I respect him more now than I did back then, but pushed me really hard when I was a young player. I learned a lot. I learned that there was actually another end of the boat to the ice, that I needed to play 200 feet if I was going to play in the NHL. And I owe a lot to him. You know, he drafted me. I had him for my first 5 years, got me on the right path.
Could go on forever. What thrills you've given us, all five of you. Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.